In this lecture segment, last semester students would like to share some of their lessons learned with you, and I'd like to offer some of my own suggestions as well. Okay, let's get started. For all the semesters I've been teaching this course, the last question on my final exam has always been the same. Please write some short lessons learned to next semester's CS12 students regarding how to succeed in this course, things you think they'd need to know, or anything else about the course that comes to mind. What do you wish you'd known much sooner? Unless you indicate otherwise, I'd like to share your anonymous comments with them at the beginning of next semester, just as I did with you at the beginning of this semester. So what I did was transcribe their responses from off the final exams, sort them into broad general topics, and group similar responses together. The comments appearing on the following slides are their verbatim comments to you from last semester. They have much more to say than we can possibly cover here, but let's take a look at some representative comments. For starters, here are some general suggestions for course success from last semester's students. These things will be mentioned in more detail elsewhere, but these are the basic principles for success that seem to come up over and over again in their comments. Here are some of their representative comments. It is absolutely not like CS10. It may seem like it in the beginning, but it 100% is not. The recipe for success in this course is to read all the lecture notes, watch the code walkthroughs, and attend the office hour Zooms. To succeed in this course, you will need to jump on assignments right away and go to the code reviews and make sure to check the rubric before submitting assignments. You can succeed in this course by watching the video lectures, attending or watching office hour recordings, and doing code reviews. Watch the weekly modules and always do code reviews. Make sure to stay on top of your assignments and take advantage of the code reviews. Are you sensing a theme about code reviews here? As stated elsewhere, all course materials needed will be available to you on Canvas, so make full use of them. Regarding the Canvas materials, the general sentiment was to make full use of them and read them all every week before starting on the assignments, and to not skip over the code walkthroughs. Here's what last semester's students had to say. My first tip on how to succeed in this course would be to pay attention to Canvas and the weekly modules. Use the resources. The provided examples, slides, and practice problems are actually helpful. Watch the lecture materials ASAP. They are YouTube videos and are pretty short, so it's easy to watch while you have downtime. Listen and watch all the lectures all the way through. Follow along with the code example videos and look in the code example files. They answer most questions about how the code should be written. Watch all or at least as many of the walkthrough videos as you can. Over the semesters, students have consistently offered similar advice regarding the assignments. Namely, start on them as soon as possible and give yourself time to deal with problems. And keep up on them because they do build on each other. I'll probably harp on these things often, but these are past students talking, not me. In their words, open up the assignment and review the specs prior to fully working on it. Every assignment comes with a PDF file of instructions and other descriptions. These aren't exactly made in a step-by-step fashion, and you will need to go back and forth between different sections. When working on assignments, I started by reading and watching the lecture material, usually early in the week, Monday through Wednesday. It looks intense, but start with the skeleton of the code, comment on it, add braces right away, and then start working on it bit by bit. Start early. Don't wait until the last minute to begin labs or assignments. Even the short ones can take longer than expected. Start assignments early. You'll always need more time than you expect. Absolutely do not start the assignments on the day they're due. If an assignment is due a week after it's assigned, take that as a sign that it might be more work than you can do in a single day. The first half assignments are much simpler and quicker, but the second half puts together many concepts from the previous weeks, so those assignments take much longer. So be prepared for that. For every single assignment given, a grading rubric will be provided, and this will be the vehicle for providing you with detailed feedback specific to your efforts. The expectation is that you will use this as a pre-submittal checklist and will then review and incorporate any feedback provided into your subsequent programs to improve them. As your fellow students put it, strictly follow the example output and read the rubric carefully. Don't just write code that works. Make sure it matches the exact format expected. That's where easy points are lost. Make sure to read your professor's comments on your assignment,
especially on the rubric. You can write a fully working program and still get only half points due to disobeying the assignment's rubric. I always followed through on the feedback I received.
Coding style and conventions are the little details, the good rules of the road in programming, which help make your code read and look better, both to you and to anyone else reading it, such as an instructor trying to grade it. We will be emphasizing lots of these little things in the first half assignments to help make them regular habits. Here's what your peers had to say.
Start with good coding standards from the beginning. It is helpful in the long run when returning to your code for reuse or to jog your memory. Stick to the coding standards. They're not just for style points. Your code will be cleaner, more readable, and more professional. Read the coding standard file as you go. It's not just helpful, it's required. Following it makes your code easier to grade and understand. Make sure to write your code neatly and put many comments to easily remember what each part does. It helps you when writing. Formatting, name placement, and putting everything in the correct file is crucial to this class, so pay attention.
By contrast, good programming practices are larger, more general habits and best practices that help you write your code with more efficiency, less stress and frustration, and better end results. These are the good habits will help you develop over the course of the semester. As your predecessors learned through hard experience,
one of the most important things that students coming into this course need to know is that programming requires patience. I think programming in general also requires a lot of perseverance. Plan before you code. Pseudocode and comments help a ton. It's way easier to write good code when you already know the logic. I should have implemented create a little, test a little much sooner into my coding style. Take breaks. If you've been trying to solve a problem and have become frustrated, take a step away and come back to it later. Trust me, after a night's rest or a quick walk, the solution will come to you. Try not to work on your code when you're super tired. It's better to start fresh the next day without tired eyes. Focus on understanding concepts, not just memorizing code. Don't just memorize, actually learn. When you understand the logic behind your code, debugging and writing new programs becomes way easier.
Experimenting is simply the idea that to get good at any skill such as programming, it's not enough to simply read or watch the lecture videos and do the assignments. You really need to be willing to play around with the language a bit more on your own and study the examples provided to see what makes them tick. In the words of your predecessors,
the YouTube videos were pretty good at explaining things, but for me, I felt like looking at the example code and using the debugger to go line by line helped me be better able to understand the concepts better. Work on your own projects or code offline for extra practice. The more you practice, the better you get. Even small programs help. Don't just do what you need to, do things you want to, learning what you learn. I created little programs for games, and it helped me stay engaged and understand things so much better.
Debugging refers to the overall process of finding and fixing problems in your code. The problems might involve syntax errors in your code, in which case you'll have compiler errors to address before you can even run your code. But once your code compiles and can be run, you may still have logic or runtime errors. For this, you need to be able to see inside your code and trace its path of execution. And for this, using the JGrasp debugger will be invaluable. Here's what your predecessors learned about that.
Debug, debug, debug. Learning to debug will save you so much frustration. Learn debugging early. It saves time. Get familiar with JGrasp early. It's basic, but it works really well for this class. Also, learn how to use the built-in debugger. It's incredibly helpful for tracing logic errors and understanding how your code runs step by step.
Here's a biggie which students always seem to struggle with, asking questions. I realize it's often very hard for younger students to do, but it's vital in an online setting like ours. And the ones who were brave enough to take that leap usually found themselves amply rewarded. Here's what they had to say.
I would say for those that are new to programming to ask as many questions as possible. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It makes a difference. Ask for help early, and don't ever think you're bothering the professor. He's surprisingly available and always helpful. Seriously, reach out. The professor will answer your questions. He is more available than most professors to help you. The professor wants us to succeed and learn. If he didn't, he wouldn't be so available. Reach out when you need help. The professor wants you to succeed, and he's one of the most accessible I've had. Talk to others. Sometimes someone else's perspective will help you understand what's going wrong. I should have asked for much more help than I did.
As noted in the syllabus, I will gladly do one-time code reviews of your assignments before you turn them in. This helps you wring out the simple errors in your programs, helps me to expedite the grading, and generally results in better scores for you. As past students noted,
to start out with, the biggest and most helpful thing for me for this class was the code review system. It was a huge help and saved me a lot of points I would have missed if I didn't do them. Everyone mentions to review the material, which is a must regardless, but the most important way I think will help to succeed in this course is by utilizing the code reviews. Use code reviews. No matter how perfect you think your code is, there will always be something you missed. Take advantage of code reviews. They're like personalized feedback sessions. They'll help you catch mistakes early and improve fast. I always utilize the code reviews. Those reviews are what helped me to see what I was missing on the actual programs. You must take advantage of the code review for all assignments. Use the code reviews. I didn't use them much early on, but by week 10, I really wished I had.
Office hours will be held online weekly, as noted in the syllabus. In these sessions, we can get questions answered in real time, do some demos of the upcoming assignments, and have some time to demonstrate things like debugging programs. Students who attended regularly found these sessions very helpful, or as they put it,
go to past peer in the professor's office hours if you can. It'll definitely help you succeed. Attend the Zoom meetings or at least watch the recordings. They are super helpful, especially when you're stuck or need clarification. Don't skip them if you can help it. Watch the office hours. I was never available to attend the Zooms, but the recordings helped a lot. For me, they were especially helpful toward the beginning of the class because I had never coded in Java or any other language and didn't really know how to structure my code. Another tip for success is to always watch the weekly recordings or show up to them, as they are very helpful for tips on how to do the assignments. I would sometimes catch myself getting stuck on an assignment, and after watching the recorded office hour, I would feel much more comfortable and confident in completing that assignment. I wish I could have taken advantage of office hours more and did my assignments earlier in the week.
As noted early in the syllabus, the course pacing will start out leisurely, but will pick up steam quickly as the semester advances, particularly in the second half after the midterm. So be forewarned, or as prior students point out,
the second half of the semester takes a long time. Pace yourself. Review everything carefully and don't rush. The second half of the semester is more intense than the first. Be prepared to spend more time and energy working on these full-length programs. You may get a false sense of security due to the earlier assignments being relatively easy, but they do ramp up and challenge you. And yes, the rumors are true. Week 10 onward picks up the pace heavily. The programs have a lot more depth from that point out, and code projects will definitely take more time. Towards the second half of the course, I began starting my coding days before and working on it throughout the time I had until the assignment was due.
Over all the semesters I've been teaching this course, effective time management has consistently been the biggest and most painful lesson learned, and the one which elicits the most responses. The same general themes keep coming up every semester. I can point these things out until I'm blue in the face, but please heed past students' advice such as this.
Time management is everything. The course builds on itself, so falling behind can make things harder quickly. Stay on top of your work and don't procrastinate, even if the workload doesn't look heavy that week. Don't procrastinate. Trying to finish assignments at the last minute is miserable and stressful. Do not underestimate how long it may take to code the homework assignments, and don't try to do it all at once. If you leave all the material and assignments for the weekend, you'll dig yourself into a hole, especially past the halfway point of the class. Even though it was clearly told to work on the assignments throughout the week, I did not and regretted it. Schedule some programming time for the homework assignments every day, even if it is only 15 minutes per day. If I could go back in time, I would tell myself to allocate more time for this course because I didn't expect the second half assignments to take as much time as they did.
Finally, some general encouragement from last semester's students to you, which I think nicely sums things up.
Be patient with yourself. This course can be tough, especially in the second half. Don't panic at the start. Things will make more sense over time. Don't let it overwhelm you. Break problems down and keep moving forward. This is one of the few comp sci classes that I feel I got my money's worth. This course is certainly worth your time, especially if you have never coded previously. You got this. And honestly, it's a class where you'll see real growth if you stick with it. By the end of the semester, you have learned so much and are able to and have created so many different programs that have been troubleshooted, compiled, and ran. Best of luck.
Well, there you have it. Last semester's students' advice to you. There's lots of useful, hard-won advice here. I'll surely be harping on many of these things during the semester, but please take heed of this advice from your peers. And hopefully you too will be able to pay it forward to next semester's students at the end of this semester. Finally, here's some advice that I'd like to leave you with based on my experience in teaching this course. Divide and conquer. Tackle any big programming assignment by breaking it down into smaller pieces and solving those pieces one at a time. Begin any program you'll write with pseudocode. Start all your new programs with the program template we'll be creating soon. Then begin by creating a commented outline of what you want your code to do without having to worry about all the details yet. Get in the habit early on of using a quick, tight programming cycle. Make some code changes, save your changes, compile your code, test it, and then repeat. Over and over again, I see students try to write their programs in one pass. Then when that code blows up with compile errors, they have no idea as to where to start to fix their problems. You'll get a taste of the preferred incremental approach when you create your first Hello World program this week. Along those lines, simplicity. Get something simple working first. Then gradually build it up and keep adding on to it. Do not try to write an entire program in one shot. Rather, start small and keep adding on to it. Again, you'll get practice with this approach when you write this week's Hello World program. Finally, do your very best to keep up with the class. Don't let yourself get behind in the material or on the assignments, because everything builds upon earlier concepts. In particular, programs later in the semester will directly extend and build upon earlier ones. This will be very important to keep in mind after the midterm. And finally, please remember, I am always here to help you with that in any way I can. I'll leave you with this one final thought. There is no shame in not knowing. The shame lies in not finding out. If in doubt, if unsure, if confused, make sure to do something to figure it out. It's okay to get stuck. Don't let yourself stay stuck. Okay, that's the end of this lecture segment. We'll pick back up by starting to get into Java itself.